Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins, aka JEL. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I know I'm a couple days late on the Smackdown and Collision reviews. I'm going to be getting into the go home review for Monday Night Raw. Big week for wrestling here with WrestleMania 40 coming up this week. But I was a little remiss and I wasn't able to get you the Smackdown and Collision reports this weekend due to being out of town visiting family for the Easter holiday. So I wanted to recap those real quick before we get into Monday Night Raw. So let's get into it. Smackdown started off with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton wrestling Pretty Deadly, and Pretty Deadly defeats KO and Orton after Logan Paul enters the ring and then knocks out Kevin Owens. Definitely setting up more going forward with these three in the Triple Threat United States title matchup at WrestleMania. Randy Orton then pulled Logan Paul out from underneath the ring, started to beat on him, but of course, he slithered away, and Pretty Deadly paid for trying to save Logan Paul. But yeah, just kind of furthering the feud between the three guys. I thought it was pretty well done, very intriguing, and we'll see how fast it takes Kevin Owens and Randy Orton to turn on each other at WrestleMania, because this is every man for himself. And it is for the United States Championship, so we'll have to see how that goes. We had a little bit of furthering of the tag team division when it comes to who's going to be in the six-pack challenge at the ladder match at WrestleMania. And now we have a full slate of competitors in that big ladder match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. It's going to be R-Truth and The Miz, the Awesome Truth, versus now Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, who advanced on SmackDown this week, as well as the New Catch Republic with Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. They're now advanced as well, and they will be joining the New Day, Judgment Day, and DIY in this 12-man ladder match, which is going to be something to watch. I can't wait to see how this goes. All these guys can go. I'm definitely excited for a guy like R-Truth, who's been in the business for a long time, and he gets to have yet another big shining moment here at WrestleMania. So this should be a lot of fun, no doubt. Of course, during these tag matches, we also got another match that was kind of set up for WrestleMania, and that is, of course, the Pride, which is now what they're calling Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, taking on the Final Testament, which is something that they've been kind of building to here on SmackDown as of late with these two factions. So it's good to see we're finally going to get a blow off to this feud, hopefully at WrestleMania. But of course, the Final Testament cost the Street Profits the opportunity at the tag titles here on SmackDown. So yeah, again, good. They've been doing a good job building some of these lower end feuds on SmackDown, especially with these two groups, as well as the next topic, which is of course the LWO and Legado del Fantasma. We've got apparently, we had Rey Mysterio come out and kind of confront Dominic Mysterio and Santos Escobar, and he challenged them both to a tag match at WrestleMania, and then he revealed that his tag team partner will be the newest member of the LWO, and that is, of course, Dragon Lee. So I think that's a great fit for the LWO. A lot of people in the crowd were hoping for Carlito to kind of join this tag match, but yeah, I think this will be a lot of fun. It's a way to get Dominic Mysterio on the card as well. It kind of felt like maybe they didn't really have a big plan for Dominic, and this whole feud with the LWO and Legado del Fantasma has been going on anyway. So Dominic kind of felt like a natural fit, so they decided to put him in this tag match here. I think it could be a fun match. I'm not so sure it's necessarily WrestleMania worthy, but based on the feuds they were telling on SmackDown, it definitely needed some sort of a finish to these feuds. So hopefully it will give that as well. And it's also kind of leading into the storyline that they're telling on Monday Night Raw with the Judgment Day, kind of wondering what Dominic's doing, kind of going behind their back. We'll get into that a little bit more as we get into the Raw report. Next up, we had LA Knight, who kind of was doing a little bit of stalking of AJ Styles here. AJ Styles looked to be a little too smart to fall for it. But LA Knight, I tell you, he's really been using Stone Cold Steve Austin's gimmick. He was, attacked AJ Styles at his home and on his front yard. Austin's been known to do that sort of thing. Now he's kind of disguising himself and kind of, got that, that stalker vibe a little bit, like he'll hunt you down no matter where you are. And this was great. So I think it's a lot of fun to what they're doing with LA Knight and AJ Styles. I'm hoping it'll be a great match at WrestleMania. I'm not sure how the match itself is going to be, but hopefully it'll put LA Knight over, and AJ Styles will do the job here and help further LA Knight's career. But we'll see how that goes. Next up, we had the show. Well, basically the show overall on SmackDown centered around Jade Cargill. And Jade Cargill signing her SmackDown contract. And of course, at the end of the show, we had Bianca Belair versus Dakota Kai. And Bianca Belair wins the match. But after the match, we saw, of course, the way Damage Control has been doing as of late, beating down Naomi and beating down Bianca Belair. And so Jade Cargill is the one who saves them. I thought maybe Bayley would be the one to kind of get into this storyline here a little bit. Obviously, she's facing Io Sky, but it makes sense to set up this trios match between the women at WrestleMania. So yeah, it just makes perfect sense to have these three ladies here pointing at the WrestleMania sign to end the show. Like I said, they're going to be facing the Kabuki Warriors and Dakota Kai in that 6 women tag. So again, we got 2 matches now involving the women in the same storyline. That's been very well done on SmackDown, and I've been greatly appreciating watching it. It's been a lot of fun to check out, and I think these women will have an excellent 6 man or 6 woman tag, I should say, at WrestleMania, and it'll be good to kind of get Jade Cargill involved as well because she's finally got on the main show, and actually they kind of centered the show around her a little bit. So they're definitely going to have big plans for her. They are very high on her, but she is still a little green. We'll see how she looks at WrestleMania. She looked good at the Royal Rumble, and at WrestleMania in a 6 woman tag, it can kind of hide her faults a little bit as well and accentuate her good qualities, so to speak. All right. That being said, let's get into AEW Collision before we move into Monday Night Raw right quick. And I wanted to show this picture here. Last week, I showed a picture of Dynamite where they kind of had a small crowd in a bigger building, which kind of made it look a little, off. Plus, it made it sound a little funny. This week, they had a pretty good sized crowd in a smaller venue, which is what I said that AEW needs to do more of. I feel like if they put smaller crowds or the same size crowds roughly in a smaller building, it helps with the ambiance of the show. And I thought it did a good job. It didn't sound like the crowd was muffled. It sounded like they were very loud on TNT here. So yeah, I think this will be great for AEW going forward if they continue to book their shows like this. Also looks much better on television. You don't have to hide it as much as well. So this was very well done, and I was very glad to see this. To start off Collision, we had a big surprise. We had Adam Copeland doing his open challenge, the Cope Open for his TNT Championship that he'll be doing, kind of like John Cena was defending his United States title when he had it at WWE. And who would answer the call here but none other than Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona, who they told the story of the backstory of how him and Edge kind of got into the business together, and Edge was kind of a mentor role for Cardona when he was in WWE. So I really liked how they went through all that storytelling as well. AEW is doing a lot better job of letting you know who these people are that are on their television screen, especially when it comes to like guys like Will Ospreay. They did a great video package on Collision telling you all about Will Ospreay's history. And if you don't know who some of these wrestlers are, AEW is doing a much better job of filling you in on those gaps that you may be having. Now, Google's a thing. I don't know why some fans just won't choose to do the research themselves and figure out who these people are, but AEW's listening to their fans, and they're actually doing a bit of backstory for some of these wrestlers as well. So that's good to see as well. Obviously, Adam Copeland retained the TNT Championship, but after the match, they had a standoff. Malachi Black confronted Adam Copeland, of course, and then the House of Black started to beat up Adam Copeland, and that brought out Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston to make the save, setting up a 6 man tag at AEW Dynasty coming up here in a few weeks. And I think that's going to be a great match to see going forward. A lot of people are complaining about how, they, set up Malachi Black versus Adam Copeland, and now we're getting this random 6 man tag at AEW Dynasty, this trios match. But you know what? I think they're going to do Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black eventually, but you slowly build to it. You want to see good storytelling, right? Well, you don't just, do it and right off the bat. You can do it that way, but in this case, I think it'll be beneficial for the group as a whole. As well as you got to remember, Mark Briscoe is challenging Eddie Kingston for the Ring of Honor World Title at Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor this Friday before WrestleMania. So it makes some sense to kind of add in this dynamic. What happens at Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor could affect Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston's relationship, which is, I think, pretty much built out of mutual respect. So it could affect this match here in particular. So again, it's building a story out. I think you just need to be patient and let's see what the AEW's got with this 6 man tag, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think this could be very fun to watch at AEW Dynasty, no doubt about it. On the show, we also had some matches that there wasn't a whole lot of newsworthy items on Collision this week outside of that big note there. But we also had Kyle O'Reilly defeating JD Drake, a good showcase match for Kyle O'Reilly. We also had Top Flight defeating Ricky Starks and Big Bill in the tag team tournament they got going on for the vacant AEW tag team titles after Ricky Starks apparently got injured. He may have actually got knocked a little bit loopy as well, but he did say on his Instagram later on that he said, "I'm all good. Everything checked out fine. But they were just being precautious." But yeah, he definitely looked like he was, kind of knocked a little loopy there, and he didn't really quite kick out of a finish from the looks of things. So they definitely checked on him after the match. Doc Sampson rolled into the ring, was looking at him as well. And of course, here is the confirmation that he's doing okay that he posted on, I believe it was Instagram. But yeah, good to see Ricky Starks is doing okay. Never want to see anybody get hurt here at all. But yeah, I think it sounded like from the reports that maybe Big Bill and Ricky Starks were supposed to be the team to advance in the tag team tournament. But good on AEW and Tony Khan for calling an audible here, just in case Ricky Starks was seriously hurt. Top Flight moves forward. I don't know where that puts Ricky Starks and Big Bill. How they can maybe work them back into the equation if that factored into the vacant tag teams title tournament or not. We'll just have to wait and see what they do. But yeah, good to see that Ricky Starks is doing okay. No doubt about that. Next big thing we had on the show, obviously, was I'm sorry, Thunder Rosa defeated Lady Frost here, setting up her one-on-one match with Mariah May on Dynamite this coming week. That will be a number one contenders match for Tony Storm's championship, the AEW Women's Championship at Dynasty. And of course, we also got Mariah May and Tony Storm. Tony Storm was like acting like was this her play all along, but then she gave her a kiss, which a lot of people are dubbing the kiss of death to Mariah May. Mariah May looked to be pleased with this after the kiss, but because who wouldn't be, pleased by getting kissed by Tony Storm? But yeah, it sounds like sooner rather than later, we're going to get a Mariah May breakup from Tony Storm here. And I don't know. I would assume Thunder Rosa gets the shot at Dynasty, but they are building that Mariah May Tony Storm match. So we'll just have to wait and see which one gets the nod going into the pay-per-view for sure. Up after that, we had earlier we also had FTR defeating the Infantry in the tag team tournament as well. The Infantry, they kind of pulled a shocker in round one, and now they're facing FTR. Well, the Cinderella story is officially over. FTR did advance, but again, it was a nice way to showcase the new tag team of the Infantry. So I like what they did there as well. The main event saw BCC and Katsuyori Shibata versus the Righteous and Lance Archer. Very fun match as always. These guys are always great in the ring, especially the BCC and Shibata. The Righteous, good to see them get some television time as well. A lot of fun, like I said. This show in general pretty much furthered the tag team tournament along with a few storylines here and there, especially with Adam Copeland and the House of Black. But as always, good professional wrestling. So if you're not watching AEW Collision or Dynamite, I highly recommend it. Go check it out as well. So we finally get the big go-home show for WrestleMania 40 coming up in about 5 days here with Monday Night Raw, if you don't count SmackDown, of course. They've got some matches on SmackDown. It's kind of like a WrestleMania 40 kickoff show kind of thing. So this is the big last push for the biggest pay-per-view of the year here, Monday Night Raw. And of course, the show started off with none other than, of course, we had the Bloodline going to be on this show. We had The Rock and Roman Reigns. The Rock comes down to the ring first, cuts his usual shtick, and of course, going on about how there's actual crybabies that he saw online this week, which was a lot of young girls, especially who watch wrestling, which is good to see. And of course, they were crying over the fact that The Rock absolutely obliterated Cody Rhodes last week. One little girl even thought he killed Cody Rhodes, so she was absolutely heartbroken. But of course, that also brought out Roman Reigns, and we got a big promo segment, where they basically go in on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, and that brought out Seth Rollins, and he come out and basically called out Rock and Roman, and basically said, "Which one of you got the balls to face me tonight?" He initially challenged Rock, and then he said, "Well, if you ain't got the balls, what about your tribal chief over there? What about Roman Reigns?" And of course, Roman Reigns, they both just kind of laughed it off, and of course, they kind of. They said, well, we're not going to do it tonight. That's not how it's going to go. We always got to play at B. And of course, they said Solo Sikoa was going to be the one to face Seth Rollins tonight in a Bloodline rules match. So this kind of it was like a 30-some minute promo segment. I kind of felt like, WWE's been doing this a lot lately, especially in their big match scenarios. They've got these long promo segments. Don't get me wrong, they're building the story, absolutely. But this felt like a long setup to do the main event for tonight. And then it felt like, okay, Seth Rollins versus Solo Sikoa. Well, we've seen that before. They've been doing it on the house show circuit and things like that. But what really sold this was the fact that they said it was Bloodline rules, which is what Cody Rhodes may have to deal with if he and Seth Rollins lose the tag match on Saturday night against Rock and Roman on night one. So in a way, they were trying to show you a preview of what could possibly happen. That cements to me the fact that I think Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins are both definitely going to lose this match on Saturday night. I think this sets up a great scenario for Cody Rhodes to win the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship here. So they'll definitely be building that, stacking the deck against Cody. So when it does happen, it's going to be a thing of beauty. So I think that's actually a good thing that they're setting up. Next up, we had the Judgment Day, all four members of the group against DIY and New Day. Again, kind of building toward that six-pack ladder match for the WWE Tag Team Championships here. Fun match as always between these guys, of course. But Judgment Day defeats New Day and DIY here after Ciampa, or I'm sorry, Damian Priest flattened Ciampa with a Rager's Edge to score the win. It definitely suggests that the Judgment Day will not be leaving Philadelphia with the tag titles, as those who usually go over on the go home show typically falter at the pay per view or the premium live event, as WWE now dubs it. As I have a hard time calling it the premium live events or PLEs. Oh, so if I call it pay per views, please forgive me. But yeah, so definitely it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. But you know, I mean, I kind of called that this match was going to happen last week, and I was absolutely correct on that. So yeah, it was good to. I mean, it's fun to see these guys wrestle. Just hope that none of them got hurt. There was definitely a spot on the outside where Gargano kind of did a dive on the outside and was caught. It looked like he almost rammed his head right into the commentary table. So hopefully he's okay and all that. But yeah, a lot of fun between these guys. I can't wait for the ladder match. That's for sure. After the night's opening match, we had Roman Reigns backstage saying he was his goodbyes to The Rock for the evening. Said he's going to go home and write his speech for Paul Heyman, who apparently we now know that Roman Reigns will be inducting Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame on Friday night this week. Big honor for Roman Reigns. Obviously, it's kind of interesting choice considering Paul Heyman's history and ECW and all these other places. But of course, he is the wise man to Roman Reigns, so it does make some sense. But it was just interesting to see that. But yeah, so they were definitely making it appear that Roman Reigns was not going to be on the rest of the show. As we'll see a little bit later on, that was not the case. But yeah, definitely nice little tease there to kind of throw the audience off a little bit. I like how they did that. Next up, we had Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed, a rematch from last week. But this was kind of a way to kind of see if Sami Zayn could actually overcome one obstacle here in Bronson Reed, because Chad Gable's been training him all week long, trying to get him ready for Gunther and his Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. Of course, the segment ended in a no contest, because we had Gunther destroyed Chad Gable, drug him out on the ramp area, which distracted Sami Zayn, and then of course he destroyed Sami Zayn as well. After all that was over, it looked like Sami Zayn was completely, utterly obliterated when Sami Zayn started to kind of flop around like a fish out there. And then eventually he did kind of stand up to kind of show Gunther that he's not going to be so easy to defeat. Of course, Gunther laid him back out again. But again, if it's one of those indications of the winner on the go home Raw, maybe not winning at WrestleMania, it could very well be that Gunther is setting up to lose his Intercontinental Championships to Sami Zayn here at WrestleMania, which would be cool for Sami Zayn. And I feel like that may actually happen. But I would not be surprised if Gunther holds on to that title as well. I love the unpredictability of this year's WrestleMania, and in this match in particular is one of those that could honestly go either way. So after this segment, we went backstage to where we had the Judgment Day was kind of doing their thing in the locker room. Then, of course, out of nowhere, Legado del Fantasma shows up to talk to Dominic Mysterio. It appeared to look like Dominic Mysterio might have even invited them there. Obviously, they're setting up that match with Ray and Dragon Lee at WrestleMania. But the Judgment Day did not look too pleased, especially Damian Priest and Mommy, of course, definitely did not look too happy, because they did not communicate that between them and Dominic Mysterio here. So I don't know if they're setting up potentially a Dominic Mysterio departure from the Judgment Day and joining Legado del Fantasma. There was also a point in this where Andrade came in here as well. It looked like Dominic had some plans with him. So it's just kind of like, are we going to kind of get like this Mexican faction, or how this is going here? But the Judgment Day did not look pleased at all with this. So it just kind of been building on that, like there's lack of communication going on there between that group. So we'll see if something happens at WrestleMania to maybe where Dominic Mysterio is no longer a part of the Judgment Day in general. I don't think the Judgment Day is breaking up right now as a unit, but I could definitely see maybe a member possibly leaving this group. So we'll see where they go with this. They could even possibly turn Dominic Mysterio babyface in this. Maybe he sides with his dad and joins the LWO. I don't know where they're going to take this. But I'll be interested to see where this goes for sure. It's definitely a wrinkle that they're adding to WrestleMania that I just have no idea what they're going to do with it. And I like that whole thing where you just can't predict it. That's one of the greatest things about wrestling, is when they portray it in such a way where it's not just completely obvious what the plan is. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. After this segment, we got another match. It was a women's tag match with Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile. Not a big fan of this storyline. It's just not working for me. It's probably the worst part of the women's division right now. Nothing against the ladies. I mean, I'm sure they're doing the best with what they have to work with. But for me, I just don't really care about it per se. Obviously, Dupree and Nile defeated Hartwell and Candice LeRae here. Indy Hartwell got pinned by Maxine Dupree, which Candice LeRae then scolded her for. How could you possibly lose to Maxine Dupree, who in storyline can't wrestle? So yeah, I mean, I just don't necessarily know if I care. Especially, I don't necessarily know if I want to see Indy Hartwell break away from LeRae as well. But at some point, it may very well happen. I guess a part of me is just kind of holding on to those days when the way was a thing, with Dexter Loomis and Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, this whole group. But apparently, it looks like all these ladies may be going out on their own, and eventually, it looks like Indy Hartwell may be on her own as well. Which I think it would benefit Indy Hartwell maybe more than it even would Candice LeRae. So I'm intrigued to see where they go with that. As for Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile, I'm not sure where these ladies right now scream jobber to me, unfortunately. But like maybe they're going to do something with them. Maybe they got a long term plan. We'll just have to see what they do. But yeah, as of right now, I'm just not feeling this feud, especially in a season with WrestleMania where there's so much other things going on. It just kind of feels like it's there and it's filling time at this point. After this segment, we had Ricochet versus Ivar. Another showcase match for Ricochet, especially with the bigger man and Ivar here. I love Ricochet. Love that they're giving him a push. Not sure exactly where they're going to take him in the long run. Like I said, some of this show coming off of an outstanding Monday Night Raw last week, which I thought was one of the best Monday Night Raws they've put on in recent years. This show was a bit of a step down. It had a couple big moments in it. But for the most part, it was a little bit weaker in the middle. And this is one of those segments. Like I said, Ricochet's great, but between the women's tag, the backstage segment with the Judgment Day outside of where they're going, it just kind of took a bit of a dip during this hour or so. Wasn't the best programming they put on in recent memory, but we're all holding on to the main event feuds here, especially for WrestleMania. Even though the card top to bottom is great, this show in general just kind of had a little bit of a lull in the middle of it here. So not a big deal, all things considered. But yeah, so we'll see how it happens. Ricochet defeated Ivar here, and like I said, a showcase for him. Definitely fun to watch Ricochet at all times, and so I'm hoping they do something big with him, maybe in the Intercontinental Championship division or the United States title, something to that effect. He's definitely talented. I love to see him get pushed more, and he's definitely getting pushed over the last month or so here. So it's good to see that. I just don't know where he quite fits in just yet. Maybe after WrestleMania, all that will clear up more for Ricochet. After the Ricochet match, we had an outstanding video segment here with Drew McIntyre, basically cutting a eulogy on CM Punk and Seth Rollins here. Yeah, this was outstanding. The way Drew McIntyre is delivering this stuff. He's been gold as of late. If WWE does not re-sign Drew McIntyre once his contract expires, I think they're crazy. He's been doing some of his best work, especially on the microphone. And I'm not going to lie, I'm pulling for him to beat Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship this Sunday at WrestleMania. So I can't wait to see that. I think it could be the right move for Drew McIntyre, who, like I said, felt like he got cheated out of his big moment at WrestleMania during the pandemic. So I'd like to see him get another shot here at holding a world championship and carrying this brand on his shoulders. And like I said, if he wins it, it sets up the inevitable match with CM Punk whenever CM Punk does get healthy. So yeah, I can't wait to see that as well. We'll see what they do with it. I think The Rock has promised to cost Seth Rollins his world title, so that very well could happen as well. So we'll just, like I said, I'm intrigued to see where all these storylines and story threads finally coalesce and come together at WrestleMania to see how all these promises and teases have been laid out over the last few weeks, and I can't wait to see what they do with that. After the eulogy, Becky Lynch come out to the ring and demanded that Rhea Ripley come out right now. Of course, that wasn't going to stand with General Manager Adam Pearce. He come out and was like, "This isn't going to happen. We've got to save this match for WrestleMania. We can't have you guys, you gals, I should say, brawling out here, and ruining that big main event for WrestleMania." And of course, Rhea Ripley wasn't having any of that either. She come out there and tried to, completely go through all the security guys, and she eventually got to Becky Lynch in the ring. And once again, for I believe it's like the second week in a row now, we've got these two women just brawling all over the arena. They keep trying to sell this as it's like this big personal thing between the two. But for me personally, this feud or this title match has kind of not had the greatest booking going into the title match. I'm sure the match is going to be great. I'm sure both these ladies are going to deliver. Could very well be one of the best women's matches of the night. But when it just comes to the build, it just feels like it's all based on the fact that Rhea Ripley said that she wants Becky Lynch is her daughter to call her mommy after the match is over. So that just, and they're trying to build it just it's all personal for Becky Lynch now because of that one statement. It just feels like other than that, Becky's kind of been doing these other things and Rhea's kind of been just kind of sidelined. So it just kind of feels like within the last few weeks, they're trying to finally book this with some sort of story to get fans to give them something to sink their teeth into. But like I said, the match would be great. The storyline is just a little lackluster for me for this women's World Heavyweight Championship match. After this segment, we had a women's trios match that was kind of highlighting damage control here. Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane versus Tegan Nox, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. Another match on the show I kind of felt like was a little bit unnecessary, just kind of filler to fill 3 hours of airtime here. But at least it did do a good job of presenting Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane as a credible trio heading into their match against Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. I mean, I don't think they necessarily needed to be established as formidable at this point, but at the same time, it was a good thing to see them get a win because I'm pretty sure they're going to lose at WrestleMania to those ladies over there on SmackDown. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the match. The six women trios match at WrestleMania could be a lot of fun. I think it could be a sleeper because all these ladies are talented. And all of them are main event level women's talent on their own. So I think that to have all six of them in the ring at the same time could be a lot of fun. I did kind of feel like the lack of commentary, not acknowledging the fact that there's a long history between Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai was a little bit disappointing. A lot of that's in NXT, but especially with the story thread of Dakota Kai and her most recent betrayal, that would make some sense to kind of throw that in there. But this, of course, led to the main event segment of the show with Solo Sikoa versus Seth Rollins. The match itself was a little bit inconsequential for what was actually supposed to be the main event segment here. But we had a spot where Jimmy and Jey Uso started fighting in the rampway. And that, of course, led to them heading toward the back. And when Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso went toward into the gorilla position, Jey Uso fell backwards out toward the ring area. And that was when it was revealed that The Rock knocked him cold, basically, and then kind of did a little bit of beat down on Jay. This led to The Rock going down to the ring to kind of confront Seth Rollins. And it looked like he had Seth Rollins cornered. That was, of course, when Seth Rollins, began this little sly smile that he had to realize to show the audience that, of course, that Seth Rollins had set The Rock up. Him and Cody Rhodes planned this. Cody Rhodes then comes out and he storms the ring and starts just wailing on The Rock's ass and just starts beating him in the corner. Then they drag him to the outside and it looked like Cody Rhodes was going to put Rock through a table using The Rock's old finisher move, the Rock Bottom. That is, of course, when we got Roman Reigns, who appeared out of nowhere, it seemed. I don't know if he was under the ring or he came through the crowd, but he dragged Cody Rhodes off The Rock. And then, of course, that led to the beatdown to end the show. Roman Reigns and The Rock absolutely obliterated Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins to end Monday Night Raw here. They were using weight belts that had the word nightmare on it. So it was a Cody Rhodes weight belt that The Rock was wearing underneath his cow skin appearing vest as well. And they just completely lashed these two guys. I mean, Seth Rollins had what looked like a huge welt on his side. And of course, they tied Cody Rhodes up into the ropes and they completely just ripped his shirt off. And they just, lashed him and lashed him and lashed him. And this was a beating. Not it wasn't bloody like the previous week that Rock gave to Cody, but this was an absolute embarrassment of the two guys by the Bloodline here. And the Bloodline rules as we end Monday Night Raw to head into WrestleMania 40. And of course, the show ended with Roman Reigns holding his WWE Undisputed Universal Championship into the air as The Rock held the Nightmare weight belt as well as the Go Home show goes off the air. So, yeah, definitely a lasting image. But again, I just got this feeling that they're going to win the tag match on Saturday night, setting up the Bloodline rules. So they were giving you a little bit of a preview that anything goes. If you watch WrestleMania Night 2, that's probably what we're going to see. And of course, then I just feel like this could be the year that Cody Rhodes finally gets what he's been going for to finally complete the story and finish that story to hold that WWE Championship belt that his father Dusty never held. We'll have to wait and see. But again, I think this is very good storytelling. This is the best storytelling WWE has done, and I don't know how long. It's just the most excited I have been for WrestleMania in a long time. So I can't wait to see what they do with this. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Let me know if you guys are excited for WrestleMania. What did you guys think of the Go Home Monday Night Raw? And don't forget to stay tuned right here on my channel because I've got a WrestleMania trivia challenge that are fun facts and wrestling trivia guru Mike has got us doing. Me and Brandon face off 10 different WrestleMania trivia questions to see who knows the most about WrestleMania. That'll be dropping today on the channel as well as probably tomorrow on the channel. We'll be having a WrestleMania prediction show. Me, Brandon, and Ty, a newcomer to the channel that you guys have not met yet. We're going to predict and preview everything going on at WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, probably dropping here on the channel on Wednesday. So definitely come back and check that out as well. And I can't wait for this WrestleMania. We'll be having reviews for WrestleMania as well coming up next week, early on, probably Monday morning, things like that. So definitely stay tuned right here for all this good stuff here on WrestleMania week. And hope you guys enjoy WrestleMania 40. And until my next video, guys, hit that like and subscribe. Until then, take care and God bless.